Hello, everyone. Meet my bestest friend. He's my baby. It's Booger. He's my booger. I told you that I've had experiences. And I've also told you that there's things I've felt that I needed to understand before I tell my testimony. Because I don't want to confuse or cause any more confusion. But there is things that I've, experienced that I do not yet understand. And I want to share one of them. And really it's just to get the feedback, to see if anyone else has ever experienced this or seen these kind of things. This happened to me about 2 years ago, I guess. We had another store we had opened in a little town. And I was there. It's 2 hours away from here, so I was running back and forth. It was crazy. Needless to say, it was too much for me, and I had to let the store go. Although it was nice to live in the little small town. But, I have a diary I was keeping a little bit then, which I need to find and maybe, go through to remind me of some things that was revealed to me at that time. Because I'd be like working at the store, and it was an old house. It was like 100-year-old house, and the store was downstairs, and the home was upstairs, and so I lived at the store. But and I'd be cleaning, and things would come to me, like my mind. That's when understanding just I was having enlightenment on some really high things, And I wouldn't even be thinking about it. I'd just be cleaning, and it would just come, and that's kind of how it happens. That's when I picked the book back up and began reading again. But there was a night where, this is the experience, where, see, my room was in the back of the house. It was actually the downstairs part of the front of the house was the store. The back of the house and upstairs was the house. And I had my bedroom in what really was the living room, but I had a bed in there downstairs, and the door was like over that way going out to the backyard. And so me and Booger lays down, goes to sleep. When we sleep, once I sleep, I don't move in the night. I sleep and we hardly stir. When we sleep, we fall asleep and we wake up in the same position we're always in. So at the end of this experience, that's what showed me that it was real and not a dream. But I'll tell you that at the end. So we lay down and sleep. And I'm woken by a drumming sound. I hear woo, kind of. And so I'm laying there, and he's right next to me. I'm laying on my side. And I just sit there listening to it. And it seemed to come from outside. And then I thought, maybe it's the fan, because I had the fan turned on. And I thought maybe it was the fan up against the door making it, vibrate. So I listened to the fan, and I clearly heard the fan, but it was a distinct separate sound from the fan. So I lay there, and I'm listening to it, and it just this droning, I guess, humming. And then there was the moment that I realized something was coming for me. And just that instant, I had fear when I knew something was coming. And the next thing I know, and I'm laying on my left side, my dog's, right there, and I'm at the edge of the bed, and the next thing I know, as soon as I had that fear, I heard a voice behind me said, "You have aliens." That's how it announced what was there. It said, "You have aliens." And I can't remember the details. I've written this down as soon as it was all over. I didn't want to turn around, but I knew I had to turn around. So I sat up, turned around on my bed. When I put my feet on the floor, right next to me, I looked up right at him. And the thing is, I looked right in his face, but I can't remember his face. It's kind of in my mind. But I couldn't, have a sketch artist draw out this man that I saw. But when I looked up, and at this time I didn't have fear anymore. I looked up at him, and he's appeared to be, which I'm not a great judge of, length and stuff, but he appeared to be 8-9 feet tall. And so I looked up at him, and then I looked over at the door. My door is wide open, and there's another being, and I don't know if it was, I cannot recall. I know it was a shorter person, a being. I don't know. It wasn't like what people say that I recall. I think it was just a normal shorter human person appearance. And the being was standing by the door opened, so I knew I had to go. So I got up, and I walked over the door, and there's my dog. I looked down at my dog, and I can remember, I don't know if I said it, but I remember I never leave my dog. My dog's always with me. If I go to work, and my kids watch him at the other house, but I don't leave him alone. But I remember saying something, or, "Can he go? He's a good dog." And my dog was allowed to go with me. And so I walk up to the door. Outside is a ship. The door's right outside my back door. The door's open, or the walkway is down, which was the opening of the door. So I walk out. I can remember feeling the night air. I can remember feeling, the outside. And when I walked out my door, walked up the ramp, walked in. As soon as I walk in, it was not what you would expect inside of a spaceship. Directly when I walked in, there was a woman with a ponytail, long blonde hair in a ponytail, just sitting there, regular clothes like we have today. She did what everybody does when they see my dog. They say, "Oh, is that a dachshund? Oh, blah, blah, blah." And then she starts, my dog gets up on the couch. It was a couch. There was color. I can't remember if the couch was red or green, because there were certain different colors in the room that I recall. And I wrote down as soon as it happened. But I have to find that diary, like I said. But, so she's playing with the dog, and I sit down with her on the sofa for a minute, and I remember noticing there's another woman. I think her back was to me at one side of the room, and I think another one. There was a couple women here and there, and I remember getting up, and there was like a counter, a wooden counter, like cabinet and counter, all around the room. And I remember seeing things, and I could not remember what everything was, but it just seemed to be little piles of things all over the counter, like a stack of books, pencils and pens, some screws, or, just little piles of things was here and there in the room. And I remember I remember a little notch. There was little notches on the wooden countertop. And I can't remember how many. Like if you're crossing off days or numbers, there was like 4 of them, and then it crossed through it, and I don't remember how many. But I'm looking at him, and I heard, I guess, one of the women that was in the room, and it was all women in the room, except the one that but that's later. I didn't notice. What I'm noticing now is all women. And there might have been 3 or 4 others. I know there was at least 3, but it might have been 3 or 4 others. But when I was looking at these things, the woman, her voice, she said, those are there for us. And I thought, what does that mean, those are there for us? Am I supposed to remember something? I said, I thought, am I going to be tested on, what I'm seeing? So after that thought, I don't know, I turn around. I don't know if someone called my attention, but I turn around, and there's a little short woman, just a stocky, little, round, short, little, chunky woman, comes in carrying what appeared to be 2 blue cups in her hand. And she set them on a table, and I knew I walked over to the table. She's at one side, and I walk up to the other side across from her. And she sat them down. And I don't remember. There's a lot that I don't remember in my memory. But she sat them down, and then I remember she pointed down, and she said, which I don't know what. I know things was showed to me that I don't remember what they was. But she pointed to the table with her finger. She said, "Is this God?" And I said, "No." I remember like the first one was easy. I said, "No." And she said, "Is this God?" And she pointed again. Each time she would point, I said, "No." And she said, "Is this God?" And I said, I can't remember if that was an easier one or I said no. But each time I said no. And the last time I said no, right after I said it, I heard a voice, and the eerie voice said, "Yes." But it was not a godly voice. It was a very scary voice. But and at one point, I don't remember if it was after that or during the questioning, that I looked over and noticed he, the one that was standing beside my bed, was standing at the side of the room, just standing there watching everything. Quietly, I looked directly at him, at his face again. I remember at one point, when I'm talking with her, I looked up and noticed he was there, and I just looked at him, and I guess looked back down. I don't remember, when it was that I looked up at him. But the last thing was, when I heard the voice that I recall, was when I had answered no, 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 and then I heard the voice say yes. The next thing I know, I'm back in bed. Not like I'm laying there. I'm back in bed. It was as if we just got there. My dog's down at the end of the bed looking for a place to lay down. You know how dogs do when they walk around and then, make themselves a comfy spot. He's down there looking. I am just laying down, just like I'm just getting there, pulling the blankets on me to lay down. At that point, I look at the clock, and when I had first went to sleep, I had 4 hours to sleep until I had to get up because it was like midnight, and I wake up every morning at 4. And so I had 4 hours sleep. But when this was over, after I'm seeing us just laying back down, and I look over at the clock, and it was 1 hour had passed since the time that I had laid down to go to sleep. And there's more to the experience after I got up. Another thing happened. Because I could not sleep, needless to say, after that. And then a couple of days later, another thing had happened to me. But there was more that night that happened. But I don't want to go into that part yet. I just, I wasn't sure I should share that because I don't know. I don't know I still have unanswered questions, like I said. But I know my journey. I know what I've been through for the Word of God. And I won't give up, and I won't accept anything other than the truth. So maybe if any of you have had an experience like that, but the man that I saw, what went through my mind when I saw him, he was beautiful. He had, this part I do remember, he had no hair on top. He was just hair going from the one ear to the other, and bit bald on top, but it was curly, white hair, not blonde. It was white and curly. His gown, he had a gown, covered all of him, went down to the floor. I believe even covered his hands. I can't remember if I seen his hands because he just stood there. But he was majestic. He was beautiful, just like a man, only proportioned bigger. His head was bigger, but of course, because his head was the skull that would have been in this man is like those Anunnaki skulls that they say they find and stuff. That would be the same skull that this being that I saw, face to face. So, if you have any feedback, just let me know if you've had any experience. And if any of you want to hear the rest of that night, that morning, we're definitely not alone. There's definitely more, that we don't understand. And that's what's always kept me going, knowing, I've had experiences in my life, other things, in my life that kept my mind open. Those who have never had experience or experienced the Spirit of God, or their mind is closed. They cannot learn. They cannot, because they think they know everything. Since they haven't seen or experienced anything, they're closed off to what possibilities are. But anyway, that's all I say. I just wanted to share that. Let me know what you think. God bless. Be well and be at peace.